Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Commodities report, and this is total. So this is the total crypto market as such here, and the orange line here is the NDX, the Nasdaq, and we can see that the total market here is much lower than the Nasdaq. But what I wanted to point out is just the correlation. And yeah, so being the total market here, we know a lot of the small cryptos are lagging somewhat. So when we have a look at Bitcoin here, so Bitcoin's more it's closer to the Nasdaq at this point. So nothing special, but there's definitely, they're both they're both technology, so they're both in that sort of category at least. Obviously, yeah, there's a lot more to be said about all of that. But anyway, that's just it is what it is, and we're going to talk about this particular trend now. So I'm just going to delete that, and I just want to go back to total here for a moment. So one of the things here is that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moving up here. So with Elliott Wave, you could count this, in many different ways. So first of all, what the standard thing to do is we take the top and we take the bottom there, and we look for a 50-60% retracement level, which is here and here for that. So Bitcoin is much the same as well, at the $50,000 topping out there into the 50-60% retracement level, and it comes into supply levels, the old history over here as well. So what's same with Bitcoin here is that we can view this as 1 and 2 and 3 here, but I've never really liked it as a third wave. First of all, we can look at it as a corrective wave, as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. I'd probably need to lift it up a degree of structure here just to be professional about the situation. So we could view it as an ABC here. That's quite true. I don't think that really fits the narrative at the moment of what's occurring with Bitcoin. So, but technically we could put that there, but we know that that's probably not the case, but it does need to be mentioned. And coming back to this as 1 and 2 and 3 here, I don't like it as the third wave. I like it the fact that as a third wave, the speed that it moves, because third waves are normally the strongest, and in most cases they're the longest as well. So it's not really that much, I mean, with Bitcoin, this third wave here is actually a bit smaller than this first wave here. So I'm a bit reluctant to call it the third wave. So I'm more in the camp of looking at it as a little wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, building up higher. So 1 degree smaller, drop it down to -1 degree here, and remove the fourth wave. And also too, the fourth wave is normally, well, wave 2 we could, normally wave 4 is complicated, right? Now that's just the guideline of alternation from wave 2. Would we call this move here complicated as a wave 2? Well, yes and no. I mean, it's quite simple as a 3-wave move and a nice 5-3-5 structure. We could put it that way. But the time that it took, it was quite time consuming compared to the wave 1 here. So we could say that wave 2 is complicated, and we could use that to say that wave 4 here is going to be smaller. But it doesn't quite fit the narrative there. So I'm thinking that we really need to look at this as wave 1 here and wave 2 coming into here. And this is kind of how I'm viewing the stock market as well, across with the big tech stocks. And obviously we've got to drag in all the followers into that scene there as well. The only thing that we need to work out next is, do we go straight up from here, or do we have an ABC correction and then move up here higher at that point? That's what we sort of need to figure out at this point. So coming over to Bitcoin here, as I just mentioned then, is that the length of this particular move here as wave 1, we could drop that down into this high here, which is probably a bit more technically correct, and we put this here, and we can see that it's not as long as the first wave. So to call it the third wave, I don't think that that's the right thing to do. I think that we're more in tune with this being a wave 1 and 2 here, and then pushing up 4, 3, 4, 5 up here. And then what happens is that we can view this one here as wave 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. I'll just adjust this here to the next degree higher, into intermediate here, and we'd be looking at it like this here as a 1 and 2 here. So I think that this is more the case here, and then we would be looking for, we can just put these, you know, move them all over here. Don't worry too much about the price. What I'm looking at here with this, it's quite typical to get a third, fourth wave across the old high here. You know, the old high is always a bit of a struggle to get through. They get sold off when they get here, and then they've got to climb up, and then they've got to test it as support, and it's a bit of a stepping stone really. So to have a fourth wave at a previous top is about right. And also too, if we think about, even if we do move down here, which I don't think is the case actually, but anyway, we can look at that. So this third wave here, we'd want that nice and strong here as well, and longer. We want it longer than this first wave here as well in that case. So I think that's kind of the fit that we're looking at, but of course anything can happen, but that's it. So we can drill in here and have a little closer look at this situation here, and yeah, so I'm not sure where can we go from this point. I'll just go to the hourly chart and just see what we've placed on here, if anything indeed at all here. We can talk about this. Well, the interesting thing here is that I find that this move down through here can be viewed as 5 waves or 3 waves, and it does sort of open the door, you know, because for other looks as well. So when I have a look at this is just a crypto market index here. It's the top 10, I think it is, yeah, the top 10 here. So this is really quite interesting here. I can count down here with you here just as an idea to get sort of an overall clean count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we've got wave 1 and 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave. The fourth wave here, a bit of an overlap on this one, so, but that's what you find around large numbers, and in this case here it's just 12,000. They tend to pull to each other, and then coming down here. So in this case we can get 5 waves down here, but also when I take a look over here for this, I can see that over here we get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 coming down here, and we get an A and a B, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we get an ABC pattern. So in this case, and this is not the case for Bitcoin, or you could probably work it that way too. I'm just pointing out different ways to view this. So wave A here, wave B here, and wave C down here. So that could be the end of the correction. And to support that here, we're getting a really nice impulse wave coming up here, because if we took the top to the toe here, we can see that we're at the 50-60% mark anyway. I like the little pocket at 61.8% and 65, but anyway, that's already about this 12,000 here. But the point being is that we've already got, if you've got a keen eye here for Elliott, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then some type of correction here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for the third, 1 and 2, and gets a little bit higgledy-pickledy here. I don't need to go into it too much, but the point being here is that we do have 5 waves here already, and we're close to the 61.8%. So if we get 5 waves here, that means somewhere here we're going to get a correction, and then we're going to get another 5 up. So that's going to put us really too high up here. So to call this in here as an A and a B and a C, and in some cases like Ethereum, we can't see this B wave over here, but we could count 5 waves coming down here. So with Ethereum here, just as an example, there's no B wave here. So we'd have to look at this as an A and a B, and 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the C wave. So it's quite possible to look at this here Obviously, we've got little 5 waves here, we've got a correction here, then we've got another little 5 waves here and a correction, but this one here overlaps this, so we'll have to look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and you can quite clearly see here that this is 1 and 2 and 3 here. This is unfinished, so it still needs to push up higher. So this could continue higher at this point. So that's kind of interesting in its own right as well. So we're just looking around the block a little bit and just shooting the breeze. It's not such a big deal. So then we come back to Bitcoin here, and with Bitcoin here, we've also got a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, 1 and 2, or we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third. So all of that's the third wave, and the fourth and the fifth here. So we've also got 5 waves here. So that means that if I just do this here as 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 and 5 here, then we're going to have some sort of ABC pattern, and then we're going to move up here further. And if that's the case, then we've got to kind of think, well, this move down here, it's at the 50% at the moment, so it's sort of, you know, it's banging its head against that. So that's the 50, 60. But getting 5 waves here, we'll get a correction, we'll get another 5 here. That means that we're going to kind of we're going to be coming high. Look, we could have an ABC up to the 78.6 here, and then get sold off as well. That's quite possible. But looking around, it doesn't seem to be the case. So in fact, what we're actually looking at this for, we're looking at this pullback here as a possible setup for other cryptos, Ava and DOT and some others, and Ripple and a few others. Ripple's got a nice little 5 waves up there. So a lot of these small cryptos are following this particular pattern, and will create setups, and we'll be putting those into the portfolio for in the crypto portfolio for trade. So I'm communicating with crypto analyst Kittiampon about these trade setups for this. So we'll probably end up putting about 4 trades out in that particular space, but that's another story, and I won't bore you with that. But yeah, just wanted to sort of shoot the breeze about that a little bit, and I think that I can just make this a little bit clearer if I go to my other Bitcoin chart here. So we've been looking at this as wave 1 or wave 3 up here. I'm not really a fan of wave 3. I understand it, and it's cool, so I'll leave it there, but I can count down here as an A and a B and a C wave here. And I can count here as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then 5 waves in here for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, for the 3rd, the 4th, and the 1 and the 2. You can kind of see, you can see it's getting a little bit messy here, and this is a top of minor group 1 for the trading levels, and it's, you know, it's got history here. It's also the 50% retracement level, the little pockets up here a little bit further. But the point being is that, you know, we do have a little 5 wave structure coming, you know, up into this space here, and yeah, so just wanted to grab it from this end here, really, just to sort of lock that in a bit. I suppose we'll just use that, whatever. But anyway, this little pullback here, we'll probably go for that. And you know, the thing is, if that if it fails, it doesn't really matter, because if we get an ABC pattern here, for example, we'll probably end up going long on the first impulse wave here, by the way, you know, on the pullback of the ABC here, and we'll look to go along here and then place stop to here to stop to here. But if we just get 5 waves up here and it comes down again, we'll get this trade to break even here, but it's got the possibility to push up further. So we're just kind of viewing both of them. Anyway, I'm starting to waffle, so I'll bugger off from that. I don't think there's anything else I need to add to that situation. So I'm just going to bring this other charting program back up and head over to the US dollar, basically. So the DXY here. So this is a daily chart here, and in a nutshell, we're looking this here as down for wave 1 and coming back for wave 2, and then coming down for 3, 4, 5 here, and I'll just put that as a minor degree and do my work that I should have done. So we're looking at this here as an impulse wave coming down here, then an A and a B and a C wave here. You know, I've been waiting here for days, waiting for this to break lower to confirm that we're on the right track, but the damn thing won't. It's just sort of hanging up there. And yeah, so it's really about group 1 here, finding support or not on this particular level. If this breaks lower here, then we will be, then we can, look to be long and short in other various Forex pairs. So our Forex analyst and myself are working through all the trade possibilities for this as well. Now there are some markets that have moved down here, so we can look at the loonie that's moved lower here. The Swissy has moved lower as well. So we're looking at all the markets. It's interesting when you look at ups here, for example. Probably not a good one here, but I'll just use this one here, this chart here. So with ups here, we've got this on, anyway, this move here, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, probably all of the third wave here. In this case, it looks like the fourth wave here, but we've still got this same pattern here as the A, the B, and the C wave here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're just looking for the turn in this instance here as well for that. But yeah, so still in further detail on the Dixie here. So the Dixie here as the A, the B, and the C wave up here. We're just looking for it to break lower. It just won't. The damn thing won't let go. So we want that. We want the 103 here on the Dixie as a retested resistance. There is good cases for this market to push higher as well. I understand that, but what we're looking for is that turn, because this turn here is obviously going to help us not only with all the other currency pairs, but it's also going to help us with precious metals as well. So I don't need to go into any of this. So we're just going to go and have a look at the treasuries and then the yields pretty quickly. So I might look at the yields first. So the yields here, it's working basically with the dollar as well. So if we just go back out and have a look at the bigger picture here for a moment. So we've got with the 10-year yields here, we've got 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth, and fifth up here. And we're looking for a pullback over here, which is in line with what the Feds are doing, and everything seems to be on track in that particular instance. So in this case here, we're looking for a move down here. This little rally here, it's on the weekly here. I'll go to the daily now. It's pretty much in line with the US dollar. So for this to drop down here, we can see this has got a little 5 waves here, and then a correction, then another little 5 up here. It's only confirmed as being corrective if this low here is breached. So we don't have that. I don't have that yet, you know what I mean? So so we're just waiting patiently, like a little owl on the fence waiting for the worm to pop his head up. So anyway, that's that side of things. On the other side to this, the ETF bonds here. So same thing. If we just go to the weekly chart here for a moment, it's doing the mirror opposite in this instance of the 10-year yield. So all of the opposite stuff here. It's also sitting at 100 here, banging its head here against this particular number, and also the supply over here as well. But we're basically looking for, some sort of ABC correction over here for this. And there's different ways too. An A wave can have 5 waves in it, can have 3 waves in it. So it's always a little bit of a mystery. If it was a wave 2 over here, then we'll likely have 5 waves in the A wave here. So that said, just moving into from the daily to the weekly to the daily here, we could view it like this with 1 and 2 coming into play here. So that means, are we getting our first little impulse wave up there now? That was the question. So if we go to the hourly chart here and just have a look at this here, I can see here that we've got, look, it's a little bit messy, the move up here, but it does appear to be sort of a 1, a little ABC for 2 in here, and the third wave is starting to move in here nicely. So it does feel like it's going to continue to travel here on this. So one of the things you can do is have a look at the volume. If we've got it here on the, let's have a look at the volume on the daily chart here for a moment. So we're starting to see, you know, it's not a lot of volume, but this bar here is more volume than the previous bar here. So for a trend to be a trend, we want increasing volume. So it is looking okay at this stage. 96.50, 96 is important and 97 is important, but the 96.50 here, as you can see, and here is a part of minor group 2. I won't confuse all of that, but if you understand the trading levels, then you'll know what's what at this point. But yeah, so anyway, all looking good. So we've counted down here, looking to call the low in, and yeah, as an A wave and a B wave, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here for this. So anyway, that's all looking good. So the yields, the bonds, the dollar, we're looking for that turn which will support the gold and the silver to the upside. So let's go in and have a look at the gold and silver. And it's not like we are doing, where's some silver here? So I'm going to start with gold here for a moment. So one of the things that we're looking at here, I don't really need to go to the bigger picture, do I? But I should do. Don't want to get too lazy, but yeah, look, you know, what's going on? I haven't seen it for a little while. Let's just go back and just check on this a little bit for the bigger picture here. So, you know, as I like going back and having a look at a decent chart. So we're fortunate enough with this program to have a look at the data going back quite some time here. Obviously in 71, you know, things changed at that point. And actually, just while I'm here, there's a really interesting website. Let me just pause this. It's this website here. But I guess it says what happened in 1971, and obviously, you know, Nixon did his little bit at that point. But it's a fantastic little website to understand what occurred at that particular point in time, and it's just full of fantastic charts that really gives you a good idea of what, you know, in lots of different ways, how this was affected at that particular point in time, and it goes on and on and on, and I won't bore you to death, but I think it's important to understand. Anyway, that's this address here. So this address here, I'm not displaying anything that I shouldn't be displaying. So basically what the F happened in 1971.com. Okay, so anyway, just thought to share that. I don't even know who put it together, but so let's just go back to gold here. So this is that particular date in, you know, 71, and you kind of know what, you know, happened at that point. My point is that a lot of Elliott people are looking at this as wave 3 here with wave 4 here, but for me, I'm looking at it as wave 1 and 2 here for that, because when you take this low here, and this is log scale, and you take the high here, then we are down at the 72%, so between 62%, 61.8% and the 78.6%. So, like, it really can't be a wave 4 at that point, you know, because of the distance it pulled back. So it's kind of interesting. So a 1 and 2 here, and then this next 5 waves up here, that folks are also looking at that as wave 4 as well. I would look at this as wave 1 and 2. And then this whole move up here, I'm also looking at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for another 1 and 2. Because you couldn't tell me that that's going to be the end of gold. You know, I mean, it's got its nemesis here now, Bitcoin. But people like shiny things, so it's not going to go away that quick, obviously. So it still needs to grow in value through time and space, and especially, you know, when the US dollar, you know, from the 1920s to now has lost 95% of its sort of value. Yeah, anyway, that's all those stories. So basically, we're looking at 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and then moving up for 5, and this is a monthly chart. So if we take that to the weekly chart here, we've got our wave 3 and 4 here in this instance, and we're moving up here as 1 and 2 here. So then we're moving up here higher. The interesting thing here, as I pointed out before, is that we've got well, in this case not a double top, but we've got triple top here, and WD Gann would say the fourth time that a market approaches a triple top, it will pierce it and then move through. Now we're at 2000 here, and you know, it's always pretty much the same sort of story in some way or another. When a market is migrating through time and space and price points, it needs to find things as resistance, and then it needs to find them as support. So in its own little way, it has migrated from being resistance to support here. So technically, if I was, you know, looking to trade, we would trade. The market would need to prove to us that it's going up. It would need to buy new highs. So buying new highs here or here would be, you know, the catalyst for a long trade at that point. But obviously, we want to do better than that. Now, the tricky little bit here is that this particular move up here can be counted in two ways. It could be counted as 1 and 2, and 1 and an A and a B and a C for 2 here, and then move up. But I could also count it as all of wave 1 here, so I could look at this as an A and a B and a C back for wave 2. So in a way, we just got to be prepared to go long. Now, if the dollar, US dollar, is going to fall out of bed, well then this is going to reset value and move higher at that point, and it'll trigger it at that point. Now, they're normally quite good for the dollar and gold to pivot on the same day, but I have to say, within some of this space out here, it really got a little bit warped out and hadn't been doing that. So it comes and goes, correlations come and go, and if it's correlating, well then they're useful, and if they're not, they're also can be useful as well, because you know that. Anyway, so we're just moving in here again. So this whole move up here can be counted in two different ways. So I'm just being a little bit sort of open-minded to that. So we can look at it as 1 and 2, and then 1 here, and then an A and a B and a C for wave 2. Now normally the C wave would come down and take the low of wave A out, but as I always tell folks, when you get a large numbers and it's got 3 zeros on the end here, so it's pretty big, and I call it a major trading level, then it attracts big orders, and big orders can skew the wave count somewhat. So we've got to be a little bit sort of careful. And as I mentioned, I would, when you're using the trading levels, we'll take the top there and we'll go long above that, then we drop it down to the next one, and now we can drop it down to this one. But what we're trying to do is drop it down to the next one here. So this is what I need to talk about in here. So we're just going to go in and talk about that as a bit of a setup in here. So the hourly chart could be okay. So over the last wee while that we've been chatting is that we've had 5 waves here, and then we've had this correction in 3 waves. Now, to put it as wave 1 and 2 here is probably a little bit of a long shot, but what I was waiting for is 5 waves up here, because once we got 5 waves here, anything above that would stop it being, because at this point it could also be an A and a B and a C wave here. Obviously need to drop that down into something smaller, but it can be an ABC pattern here, and when it's finished at C wave up here, it can come down at that point, because it would be a corrective wave in 3 waves. But once we got 5 waves here, anything above that, then it's not going to be an ABC, it's going to be something else, which will obviously be more bullish, and we could look at it as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and do a few different sorts of things with it. So nothing much to do today, but it does appear that in one way we can see here that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we could probably push. We could pretty much go long above this top here. I'm not going to worry about talking about it today, but if we get a classic trading levels pattern across that 50 here, and this would be the 50, then this is the classic trading levels pattern, the arrival, the reaction, the first line above the level, we go long here, then bring it to here and bring it to here, and we'll go in. So we'll be sort of focused on that shortly. And the other good little thing here too for the trading levels people is that classic trading levels pattern I'll talk about. You can see that when we talk about 2000 here, then we've got 1, 2, and 3 here, which is all of group 1. So the Fibonacci numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8, and so on. So on top of number 3 here, we can see that it was resistance, but if you've got a keen eye, you can see that it's testing it for support. Getting support here, what it does, it actually severs the pull from the 2000 at that point. Now, taking that top out here would prove that the market is strong, and it will tell me at that point that we're not going to be pulled back to this point at this stage. At this stage, it could still just come straight down here, right, and fail. But taking this top out here would sever the pull from this particular number here. So it is looking better and better each day, and we're going to be communicating more about that. And we come to silver. So yeah, the silver pattern really, you know, looking at it on the weekly chart here for a moment, is some cacophony here, a little maelstrom in a teacup and so on. But apart from all of that, where we can see that it's kind of in some sort of triangle pattern here, and we're looking for an increased volume and a bit of a breakout here. Now, this breakout here, you can see that this here is in 3 waves here, this little move here, and we're starting to get a little impulse wave here now. So that's the beauty of this. I don't know what chart that was on here. This is just another count. I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's a bit of a long shot. We don't want to go there. So I'll just go into let's just go into 5 minutes here and see if we can sort this out a little bit better. It's a bit tricky to read, but yeah, we've been in here before making a mess. So we looked at this as 1 and 2 here. This is the little 5 waves. We've got little 5 waves here, 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth, and fifth for the third wave, the fourth wave here, and then we're looking at this here, a bit of a cacophony here as well. We could look at it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not quite sure, but we're kind of ready to go here as well. So we'll just sort of still want to get the dollar on side at this point, but basically on the 21 here, we're getting a little setup here. We might be able to improve on this because this should be the A wave, the B wave. Oh, it is 5 waves here. So, but yeah, we can get that and then that, whatever. But we're getting very close to looking at this. But this trend here hasn't been corrected, and we're looking for some sort of ABC pattern before some move to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'll just take that away for the time being, but we're getting there. It's a process. So that's all good. And so that covers Bitcoin, the dollar, the yields, the bonds, the gold, to a point. So we can just come over to base metals. So I'm just going to put this on the daily chart here. So when we look at this here, we kind of start from the bigger picture here and just talk about this for a moment. So I'll just clean my mess up here, but basically what we were looking for here is that with copper here, futures copper, we had this 1, 2, I mean, all of this over here all of this can be viewed in different ways. So I won't go into that at the moment, but the key thing here for buying BHP and all of those sort of guys is that here we had 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth. So we had an impulse wave here. So we label it wave 1. We could understand that it was wave C of B as well. Then we're looking down at this here. It's pulled back into the 61.8%. And you can see here, if you've got a keen eye, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we've got an impulse wave confirmed. It doesn't mean that we need to rush in and buy it, and it will push up to these old highs here and the medium level here. But the point being is that we're getting this 5 wave structure here. So we're going to see BHPs of the world push up. But we don't have to chase them because we'll get them on this. We'll get it on this ABC coming back here again. That's where we can sit for this. So now today we have confirmed that we've got a little 5 waves here. So that will still go up higher, and we've got increasing volume there, but it'll hit supply and it'll pull back and all that. We may end up with the classic trading levels pattern across here for this. Yeah, so our new analyst coming on board in the second week of Feb will be focused on doing charts, just like Forex and the crypto and the stocks. That will be doing daily charts and 4-hour charts for crude, gas, precious metals, and copper, iron ore, and uranium. As we see other things start to merge, if nickel picks up off its lows, we'll sort of look at that, and same with lithium as well. So these base metals will chop and change, but I just really want to keep about 12 here and a couple of softs and a couple of grains here. Coffee's doing quite well, actually. We just have I'll just go left field and have a little look at coffee here. So we've traded this before, and we're going to have another look at it again. So You may still be in here for this, but so basically here we've got wave 1, 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got a third wave here, a fourth wave here, and a fifth wave to make the first high above the level, and then there'll be an ABC correction here. Then we can move in at that point. So this is a classic trading levels pattern here: the arrival, the reaction, first high above the level, and then the correction. So if we have a look at that here, it'll be the arrival, the reaction, the first high, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. So that we'll be setting up for that in due course. So just coming back to copper here for a moment, that's looking good. So we'll have a look at the BHPs of the world when this pulls back a little bit, and the iron ore market is, let's just pull this out here. Did we get 5 wave? No, we don't have 5. We've got 1, 2. Looks like we got, because we were looking for an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, this pattern here, right? So it looks like that's sort of panning out at this point, but we'll keep a bit of an eye on that. FMG's moving up quite nicely, and Rio and Vale and all of those, but once this develops here, then we'll look for long trades put them into the Australian stock trades portfolios as well. Uranium is, you know, love it or hate it, it's got beautiful 5-wave structure in the bigger picture here. So these 5 waves, we'll look at wave 1 and 2, and we're looking for, sorry for the mess, bigger picture over here. The main point here is that that we're going to be spending time in a whole series of wave 4s and 5s across the 30 here for this ETF. We do have some open trades in this, and we will put them in the portfolio. So we're just re-establishing the data for the commodities portfolio. The other stuff I had was fantastic, but it was a bit expensive. So I'm going to, I have found another cheaper version. So the devs are working on that at the moment. So we will be putting out trades in this in due course as for commodities. So that's that. I'll just have a look at CAP for a moment, which is, yeah, so that's pulled down nicely here. Another classic trading levels pattern sitting on here as well. This is just the largest uranium company on the planet. So yeah, just keep a bit of an eye on that, but it's working through all the trading levels really well. If you don't have the template, the trading levels template, you need to email me, and you need to give me your username for here. So in this case, it's Trading Lounge here. So you need to give me that name, because what I'll do is I'll give you access to it through TradingView, okay? And of course you can all these levels here, you can move, you know, adjust them and do what you need to do with them, but yeah, they're very handy. So come over to crude, and crude oil still needs to push higher. So I just wonder if the dollar's going to push higher with crude as well. That's the other thing that sort of concerns me at this point. But I still think we need to come down further. I don't think that we're in some big bullish market at the moment. It's just being sort of held up. So we've got this move down here as an A and a B and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So it is corrective. We're always hoping that we'd see this as a wave 4 and move down. It's not that it's moved too high. It can move back to the wave 4 of one lesser degree, but basically this whole pattern here is humongous compared to any of these corrections here. I would expect wave 4 to break the trend channel of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but it's just getting a little bit big here. So obviously that's not the case. So this still needs to push higher through here as well. So yeah, crude up. It's not going to go far, and it's going to really struggle around the 80 here for this. So it's going to be held up further. Do I think it's a bull market to the upside? Well, no. Well, it could be, but it just depends on the dollar really. But if we're going to go long in this, we're going to wait until everything is done and dusted here. So that means that we need to get the 5 waves up here. So this will be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 in here, and moving further to the upside here. So there's still more to go up here. Once that tops out here, we've got a classic trading levels pattern here, then we can go long from that point. I'm not going to go long here because it's the end of this trend here. It's just going to get messy. I think we might have this on smaller version here, 0.15, maybe the hourly chart or something or other. I thought that I did it. Yeah, so that's the A wave, the B wave, the A, the B, 1, 2, 1, 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the third, fourth, fifth, third, fourth, and then we still need to go up here a little bit higher. So it looks like it needs to push up higher on in this case. And then we've got natural gas. So with natural gas here, let's just zoom out a little bit to the 4-hour chart or something. So it's a little bit tricky because spot gas took out the previous high here, but that said, most of the markets are like this here. So we look at this as wave 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 moving down further for this. The other way to view this is with a B wave here. So if I just look at this in terms of the daily chart, so obviously the market's coming down to this previous low, it's going to find support. So the other count here, which is probably realistic as well, is that all of this up here is just the A wave, and then we come down for an A wave here, a B wave here, and then we squeeze in a C wave over here to be the B wave here. So a bounce off the low here, and then another C wave back up here. But I have to say the speed in which this has come down here is really got the personality of a third wave. So I do see gas moving lower, but it will bounce off this low here and the $2 area here. So it's going to get very messy in this little area here. What you see here is not what you get next. So don't go chasing it because you'll get trapped. Alrighty, I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.